Germany invades Poland, leading to France and Britain to declare war. Poland gets beaten by the German army, while the Soviets push Ukrainian and Belarusian rebellions in eastern Poland. The Soviet Union invades Poland and the country gets crushed by both sides. Warsaw falls and the country is completely occupied. Both sides adjust their borders and Lithuania gets compensated territories of the Soviet Union. A temporary Ukrainian state is established as a Soviet puppet. Slovakia annexes some territories from Poland and the Polish general government is set up. The USSR is ready to annex Ukrainian Galicia. In December, the Soviet Union invades Finland to gain the Karelian region and secure Leningrad. The Soviet army advances slowly in Finnish territory, as the Finnish get too easily disguised in the snow and destroy Soviet tanks. In January, the Finnish army pushes back the Soviets and the front line stabilizes. In March, Finland agrees to Soviet demands and loses Karelia, and some other territories in the north. The Allies blockade imports of raw iron, so Germany decides to act and invade Denmark and Norway. The campaign in Norway goes smoothly for the Germans, who quickly occupy Oslo and break through the country. After the northern campaign, it's time to finish the western front by invading the Low Countries. The Germans quickly break through the front lines and occupy Luxembourg, and enter the Netherlands and eastern Belgium. In Holland, the Dutch National Front breaks apart from the Allies but is eventually taken over by Germany. The Germans break through the Ardennes and encircle and very partially capture the British army at Dunkirk, while the rest of the army leaves successfully. The French army is very quickly taken over with Blitzkrieg and Paris falls into the hands of the German Reich. Italy joins in the German war and a few days later France surrenders. Vichy France gets established and Italy gets to annex Tunisia as another step to take back the lands of the Roman Empire. The British government declines any proposal of surrender or alliance. The Battle of Britain begins. The objective of the German Luftwaffe is to gain air superiority in the English Channel, as preparation for a naval invasion of the British Isles. At first, the Luftwaffe seems to be on the winning side, but when the Royal Air Force catches up, the battle gets even scarier for Germany. In the meantime, Hungary aligns with the Axis for economic support and general alliance. In July, the English Channel is at its peak dispute. The Luftwaffe tries its best to overrun the English Air Force, but the oil superiority of the British forces stops the attacks of the Luftwaffe. Spain also joins the Axis, even though Germany is not capable of providing the supplies that Spain needs after the Civil War. They still occupy Morocco as compensation. The USSR forces the Baltic states to join the Union as communist republics, but Lithuania stands up and refuses to join the Soviet Union unconditionally. The Soviets begin to invade Lithuania by all sides. A rebellion in Riga breaks out against the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union still declares Latvia as a Soviet republic to discourage more rebels in the Baltics. Lithuanian forces break apart and the Soviets enter Kaunas. The Baltics are officially annexed by the Soviet Union. In August, the Belgrade Agreement forces Romania to cede many of its territories to their neighbors. Bessarabia gets annexed by the USSR, while northern Transylvania is occupied by Hungary and Dobruja gets annexed by Bulgaria. After this event, Romania fears more territorial demands from the Soviet Union, and Germany is pushing its entrance into the Axis powers to secure the Romanian oil fields, which are a fundamental resource for the Reich. So in September of 1940, Romania joins the Axis. In Africa, the British already occupied northern Congo as it became a German-aligned state. Italy establishes the Italian East Africa and annexes British Somalia and Djibouti. The Italians, alongside the Africa Corps in Libya, attack Egypt. They manage to push deep in Egypt but are forced to stop after the British get in the front, and because of lack of armed forces. In Europe, the Reich has some plans set up for the next months. Bulgaria joins the Axis for these future agreements. In November, the Germans offer to Turkey northern Syria in exchange of letting Axis forces across Turkish territories. The Turkish government, still keen to take back their legitimate territories, accept the demands, granting the Axis powers the permission to use the railways and roads in Turkish territory. In the meantime, Yugoslavia is forced to give up the territories of Slovenia, Macedonia and Dalmatia to the Axis. A coup in Iraq overthrows the Allied government and a fascist government backed up by the German Reich takes power in the country. Turkey also clashes with French forces in French Syria, forcing the Germans to occupy the region. British recognition forces land in Morocco as a side operation, but are then forced to leave by the Spanish. Yugoslavia is asked to join the Axis, but a military uprising in Bosnia and Croatia takes over, splitting the nation. The new state gets occupied by Italy and Germany, while the rest of Serbia stays neutral with a fascist government. The Axis makes a great push in Egypt, but the British catch up and push them back. As Germany is getting petroleum from Iraqi oil fields, the Allies decide to take action in Iraq. Britain tries an attempt to remove the Germans by Jordan and Kuwait. They manage to occupy southern Syria and push the Germans back. But the Germans then quickly arrive in the positions and block their advance, except for the expedition in central Iraq, which advances until reaching Baghdad. When they reach the capital, the Germans successfully remove them and Britain is forced to stop the operation. British forces retreat to Kuwait positions. The preparations for Operation Barbarossa are finished. On the 1st of May, German forces cross the border with the Soviet Union. The Axis follows. They swiftly advance and a Ukrainian uprising removes the control of the Soviets in central Ukraine. Ukraine joins the Axis and helps with the operation. New provinces and territories are annexed by Germany. Finland joins the invasion. The Soviet army suffers catastrophic losses. The German army gets at its strongest point and Moscow seems to be already in German hands. Finland annexes back its territories and new provinces are created in Russia. Moscow gets surrounded. Leningrad and the capital fall to the Germans. The battle for Stalingrad begins. The Germans begin the operation in the Caucasus. In December, the front lines stabilize as the Germans start to freeze in the winter. The Soviets take advantage and start to push the Germans back. Spain, tired of the war, leaves the Axis and signs a truce with Britain. During this time, the English government is still unable to solve the German Enigma code, essential to understand German movements in the Atlantic Ocean and in Russia. Japan bombs Pearl Harbor in January. In Greece, the fascists organize an uprising, making Greece fall into a civil war. Fascist support is spread all around the country, while the Axis supply them. After establishing agreements with the Greek fascists, the Axis launch a full-scale invasion and the rest of Greece capitulates. Bulgaria annexes part of Thrace and Macedonia, while Germany gets Alexandropoli. Germany promises to give autonomy to Soviet republics that will help in fighting the USSR. To avoid this issue, the Soviet Union prints more propaganda. Irish fascists in Northern Ireland try to break out of the British rule and unite with the rest of Ireland, but Ireland and England both collaborate on putting them back down. In April, the Germans are able to continue the Russian campaign. The Caucasus becomes the main target of the new operation. The Southern Caucasus is cut off from the rest of the Soviet Union. The Germans advance further, entering deep Russia. A new province in the Caucasus is established. The Serbian government suffered an allied coup, making the Axis occupy the region. The Allies decide once again to take action in Iraq. The Germans push in southern Iraq while the British occupy Syria. Allied forces press on the German army from Iran. Iraq changes sides and the fascist government falls apart. The Germans don't see the Iraq as the Reich won't be able to maintain itself without the oil fields in the region. The Reich continues to send forces in Iraq to hold the Allied advance. If you want to see the continuation of this video, leave a like or write something in the comments. Thank you for watching.